Hey guys, we got an interesting story for you this evening. We are visiting a cemetery. The guy's name is Bill Cosper. He's got a very interesting history background on his life and death. And I consider him a real life Frankenstein. So we're going to get into the story here and we're going to show you around the cemetery a little bit and you draw your own conclusions on was he a Frankenstein or not. And I think it's going to be a very interesting story. And he was also on Ripley's Believe It or Not. And I think that's pretty cool. And let's get into the story.
It's alive. Oh, it's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive.
All right, guys, we're at a headstone that has some very weird history to it. We are in Childersburg, Alabama at the Childersburg Cemetery, and we are visiting Mr. William Bill Cosper. And with this headstone in shambles that you see at my feet here is a pretty wild story. So what happened to Mr. Cosper is that he was struck by lightning and lived. And on this, I guess a little while longer, he was struck twice and it killed him. Well, then they laid him to rest here in the Childersburg Cemetery, and the family erected him a headstone, and lo and behold, the lightning struck that headstone and destroyed it. So as you can see, it's down here and it's broken half and tore up and whatnot. So they decided to replace his headstone, and this is what we got next. Why is it in little shambles like this? Because he got struck by lightning 4 times. Now, if that ain't lucky, I don't know what it is. I mean, you got a black cloud, lightning bolt holding over your head, whichever it may be. But this is the remnants of Mr. Cosper's headstone, all burned up in rubble here and stuff. I think that's an interesting story for an individual. I don't know if anything can be seen in that hole, but I figured I'd take a picture of it. But here's something else interesting in this cemetery. I have seen it before, but it's very rare that I see metal headstones and foot markers. But we found one in this cemetery, so let's check it out. So this headstone here is all metal. I'm gonna say it's cast since it's split. It's broken off. And this is the headstone we picked up. I mean, this is the footstone we picked up off the ground. I'm not sure exactly which way it's supposed to go or how far back it's supposed to go, but it's pretty neat. It is also splitting kind of in the same place as the headstone, which is ironic. So this is the headstone, the metal headstone, and like I said, I think it's pretty much cast iron way it's split, but it's supposed to fit back up here like this. Now the weird thing about this is there's no name, there's no dates, no nothing on this. So I'm going to assume that maybe it had a concrete inside or something. I'm not sure how that works, but it's rare to see metal headstones. Sometimes you'll see a metal foot marker, but it's kind of rare to see metal headstones, which is, I think, is pretty cool. I love the old wrought iron stuff in cemeteries, even though if it's busted up, bent or whatever. I still think it's unique, and they don't do that kind of stuff anymore. But it just shows you how much pride they took in their loved ones back in the day. Well, here's another interesting grave. This one's actually on top, and it's not really big. It might be 5 foot long. But it's busted open. Let's see if we see anything inside. So I think it's just dirt and leaves, but this cemetery is kind of old. Some parts of it is, and they got a newer section across the road, but some of it is like 80s, 90s, 2000 stuff, and it goes back to 1800s. And I think it's pretty neat to see some of these old cemeteries this way. Even though they are busted and in disarray, I still think they're enjoyable to look at and just kind of see, you know, a time period of how really not much have changed over the years, other than some of the, you know, the wrought iron stuff or the headstones are basically all the same. It's just concrete / stone, whatnot. It's pretty cool. But a lot of it's, you know, this cemetery, I am in the older section, and a lot of the headstones are broken off and busted and stuff. Which, all right guys, check this out. We're at a big old tree here, and just about every one of these headstones are busted, fell over, or damaged in some way. And I'm going to assume the root system has done that. You can see, like, every one of them, not every one of them, but 99% of them are destroyed or busted or whatever, even including this one. So I don't know if a tree limb fell on this and busted it or what. But you can see, I mean, they're just all busted all like snot. And you can see where over the years they have put them back together. I'll check that out. It is neat. But check that. That one's busted. This one was busted one time. You can see where the two-tone head marker was put back together. This was probably stuck in the ground for a number of years. But here's some that's not repaired. And basically it's mostly around this tree. Now throughout the whole cemetery, the older ones are busted and broke off, especially if they're any, you know, of thin size like this one here. And I mean thin as in like this here. You can see the thickness of this is maybe 2.5 inches thick. And I would hate to think, now this one looks like it might have just fell over because that whole area is sunk in, probably along with this one maybe. But you can see it does have metal pegs on the bottom of them. So I'm going to say some of this is probably by vandals. And they probably just came through and started saying, hey, that looks like a good idea. Let's bust them all to heck. And it's kind of what you get. They're all broken because they're very fragile anyway, and old and fragile. But there you go, folks. There's a little sniblet of Yeldell Cosper. He was struck by lightning one time while he was alive. The second time he got struck, it killed him. They placed him here in this cemetery and put a headstone on him for him. And the lightning struck it and destroyed it. And so the family redid it again, and the lightning struck it and turned it to burnt, charred rubble. That's pretty sad that this guy had that kind of luck 4 times. I mean, what's the chances of that? Anyway, we hope you enjoy. We'll see you on the next video, guys. Thanks for watching.